The FIFA World Cup in Qatar is finally over, with Argentina lifting the cup for the third time. The South American team won a hard-fought final against the former holders France, which went down to penalty kicks after 90 minutes of normal time and an added 30 minutes extra time. The final will go down as one of the best in history, with Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe setting different records in the 6-goal game thriller. Overall, the competition has proven to be one of the most entertaining World Cup showcase ever, as there were many upsets during the tournament, with Morocco one of the teams that surprised the footballing world. Joining us on this show this morning as we take a look at the tournament and some takeaways for the Nigerian national team, which failed to qualify for the competition, is Sunday Oliseh, former Super Eagles captain and coach, and a member of the FIFA Technical Study Group. Welcome to the morning show, Mr. Sunday Oliseh. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, everyone has been talking about World Cup in Qatar, including that very moving statement by Pelé. But you are a coach, you are a legendary player. What's your take about the quality of play and also the management of the entire tournament by both FIFA and the Qatari authorities?
Well, to start with, I was blessed to qualify for 3 World Cups, but to play in 2 of them for Nigeria. And I've been able now to work on 2 World Cups as a technical expert for FIFA on an Olympics. And I must confess to you that from what I've seen, I have never seen a World Cup like this. If you're talking about the quality of play, if you're talking of the organization, if you're talking of the infrastructure, talking of the environment that was put at the disposal of the players, the fans, and even the officials, it's unprecedented, and it's something that is an eye-opener, really.
All right, thank you. Now, as much as we rejoice and it was such an exciting tournament, it was bittersweet for a number of Nigerians because, as we said during the introduction, the Nigerian national team failed to qualify for this particular tournament. Now, you have said that Nigeria should be flying the flag of Africa if we could borrow a leaf or two from Morocco, another African country that did exceptionally well, making it to the semi-finals and coming fourth overall in the competition, the farthest any African country has gone. You draw some lessons in terms of their investment in football, particularly grassroots football. Also in terms of the preparation towards the tournament. What are some of the lessons that we as the Nigerian national team can pick from not just Morocco, but perhaps other teams, other African teams as well?
Well, thanks. You well summarized very well your question, and I think it's not just a leaf or two we can take from this tournament. Let's not look at the Moroccans because it's good they did well, but Nigeria we're supposed to be giants of Africa. We should be pioneers and not followers. But the situation we find ourselves now, for us to improve, we have to imitate and improve on what is standing to get better. You cannot have a solid national team if you don't have a national league. And at the moment, we don't have one that is performing. And because that is your breeding ground for talent. And a nation as huge as ours, with over 200 million people, and where football is a religion, we have to do a lot. In fact, to be honest with you, there has been some, from this tournament itself now, if you try to limit yourself to what the people brought to this tournament as your own barometer of how what you should do, you're already behind. Because there are some new trends now that have come out that we have all, from the technical experts, 6 of us, what we have carved out and we have seen that has been consistent, and that is what has made the difference in these teams. If those things are not applied to the teams coming to the next World Cup, they don't even stand a chance. So not only are we behind because we did not qualify, we are further behind because we did not participate. So that is why our problem is bigger than we think. But like we always say, if you are sick, first you have to know what is wrong with you before you take tablets. First, we have to find out solve that thing that is stopping us from progressing, and then we'll now start to attack the solutions. But like you rightfully said in your question, one of the major things we have to improve is the youth development. Because let's face it, football is with the youth. Mbappe was a youth 4 years ago. Now he's a confirmed player. There are other youths that have come into the team now. 4 years will be confirmed players. The Argentine team, Fernandez was the youngest. We voted him. Our group voted him the best youngest player. But he also, before this tournament, was unknown, relatively unknown. So those are the kind of things that we as a country have to come to grips with first, and then we'll start fighting the solutions.
So I'd like to see your technical reports, and good to see you once again. Good to see you once again. I'm sure if you know the past, we had met, with a very good mutual friend. But there are outliers in this game. And it was a good point you made about youth development. But look at countries like Germany. It is said that an average player that goes through the German system is more technically better than any other player because of the exposures. Look at countries like Belgium. And look at what happened in the World Cup to them. The golden generation of Belgium is gone. They couldn't achieve anything. Another golden generation of Germany is fast going. So is it because we didn't develop, or there's just an extra spark? And that's why I say I would like to empirically see the bulk of your FIFA technical reports, when it comes out. What will the FIFA technical study adduce for those outliers and those sparks of greatness?
Well, hello once again. Good morning. One thing that I would like you to realize is that for this tournament, in fact, I'm drained out physically now. I can't wait to go home and take a boat break because we were working nonstop. For this tournament, what FIFA made us do was that we were giving tactical and technical analysis live on the fly. That means that you got the tactical analysis of each game 45 minutes after the game. All you have to do is go to the FIFA website. It's called the Training Center. Then you even see we made podcasts where we analyze what we saw in the games there for you to just check out. We had also on the website, you have the data breaking down of all, what happened, the possession, what players did what on the pitch. All those is there for you to look at. Now, if you're talking about Belgium, you were talking about the golden generation of the Belgians. Let's face it, you can't call a country a golden generation if it doesn't win gold. I think the Nigerian Super Eagles were called golden generation because we kept on winning gold. One gold at the Nations Cup, one gold at the Olympics. Those things were happening. So that is it. The German team, it is the team of 2014 that is coming to an end. So they are not. But the teams that you are seeing now, football is taking another dimension now. One of the things that we are proposing, that is part of the report you will get in some few weeks and some months coming out. One of the things we are making clear to the world now is that the world, to get to the next stage now, it is no longer just a passing game. You now have to get people now who are creative players to give you the peck. Everybody can pass now, but the action is making the difference. And that is those are some of the things you cannot really teach. And those are the things that Africans have naturally. And that is why I'm disappointed that we Nigerians are not there. Because we are the greatest exponents in Africa of what we call griri. We have players who could take you on every time. They could eliminate players one-on-one, 1v1 situations. And that is what is lacking in the football now. And every team now knows how to be compact. And like the Moroccans did very well, not only do they know how to be compact, they know how also to play in triangles. I can't bore you with technical details, but when you play in triangles, it makes your team very, very difficult to beat. And that is why, for us personally, as a country, we really have to sit down. It's high time we have to stop making noise and stop making jokes and realize that if you want to improve in football, let people who know football do the thing, and let people who want to administer. An administrator cannot tell you the tactics and the basics of football. It's just like me trying to tell a surgeon how to operate. Forget it. It's not going to happen.
Okay, still on the assessment of the tournament, which players and which teams stood out for you? By this, I do not necessarily mean France or or Argentina. But there must be some players that you thought showed great skill and some teams. And what are those things that stand out for you?
So many players stood out for us, and we had to vote eventually. In fact, our vote to decide who was the player of the tournament, we had to give it in just some minutes before the end of the game because it kept changing between Messi and Mbappe and everything, and eventually Messi got the nod. I think it's the way it is. A lot of players stood out. If you're looking at the Argentine team, you have asked me. Let's not talk about Argentina and France, like you rightfully said. But if we look at the other teams who stood out, I think Modric once again showed that even at 37, he can still manipulate and dominate a game. We saw the Moroccans come up with Amrabat. He was great, and Nasri in front was very, very good. The captain also, Saiz, was very, very good. And, they had a very, very... The goalkeeper, Bono, was exceptional. So we had a lot of good players from the Moroccans and from the Senegalese team. The team that plays the last 30 minutes from Senegal. The first 30 minutes from Senegal, I found them very, very enterprising and very, very good. You cannot just single out one, but there were several of them that were doing very, very well. So personally, I think African teams did very well in general, and African teams came to this tournament with personality. They did not show any inferiority complex, and I think that's exceptional for the football of Africa.
Very excellent. Thank you for your analysis. I'd like you to speak again on the local league. We had this conversation about 2 weeks ago where we talked about the fact that the local league isn't well funded. Now in Nigeria currently, yes, we do have some private investments in the local league, but for a number of them, state government and there's a large dependent on government funding for leagues. What do you think the Nigerian local league should do better to attract funding? Or perhaps the question should be, why are private organizations, not interested or attracted to funding the local league, despite the opportunities in terms of return on investment? Using the EPL as an example, that is it's privately owned and well run, and revenue generation is high. What is the challenge with the Nigerian local league, and why are investors not interested?
Well, before serving the world, I have made it my priority in the past to serve my country. You like it or you don't like it. I cannot influence what somebody else thinks, but I can only influence what I do and how I see life. My country's priority, I have never taken one thing that I'm taking from Nigeria, but all my life I've tried to give. And recently, when I was asked to be part of the technical committee, I sat down for 3 months, even visited some clubs, some countries' associations, and give them a solid, and I repeat, a solid solution to our football. And it included so many things that are solutions to these questions you just asked me. But if they don't decide to implement those things, it's not my fault. Now, it is that same knowledge that I used and gave to the committee and to the country that, look, this is what will bring solutions to us. It also included how to entice private investment in the game. It included how to improve the scouting system. It included how to improve the female football system. It included how to improve the infrastructural system. It included how to make timing. That timing is how you gradually improve your players' culture. It included how to make the league be able to fund itself by itself. It included how to bring commerce around football. All those things, I put it out there and gave it to them as a solution. And it is that same knowledge that FIFA has now asked me to bring and use for the world. And that is one of my greatest regrets, is that when you try to help and you give the best without asking for €1, give it to them and say, do it like this. We have to do it. Because we have seen now that we cannot afford as a nation not to be at the next World Cup. If we do not come to the next World Cup, it will be like a gradual death to our football. I am hitting the bell. Be very careful. Because from what we have seen from the nations who have come here now, the Arab world is coming into football now. They have finance, and now they have will, and now they have the passionate love for it. So the competition is going to be rude in the next 4 years. So we have to be very, very careful and now sit down and find a solution for the sake of the people. Not for the sake of anybody that's active, but for the sake of the people who love football.
Okay, two things. There were many outlier events that happened in this World Cup. You talked about the money the Arab nations are spending, and it was obvious when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, which will have never been the case if you are checked, but the Saudi Arabian League with a lot of capital injection is beginning to work. So I want you to comment on those outlier events, number one. The second question will be also capital injection in the local league. See, because since the times of the Jaspers of this world, the Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu with Iwanyanwu National and all of that, if you're not having a big man, or the Chief Udoji, Jerome Udoji, that started Udoji United, if you're not having a big man put money in league, in Nigeria and a team, or the government, or corporate bodies, which have stopped putting money in teams, just like we used to have the First Bank teams of this world and the likes, the Nitel teams of this world, the NEPA teams of this world and all of that. Nothing is happening. So where are we going to probably chart the path of capital from to be able to inject in the league?
One thing you are very aware of, my friend, is that hardly the businessmen just give away money. They must have their own interest to want to get to invest money. Now, the environment also has to be conducive for them. And there are certain, the people who invested in the past, in the 90s or the 80s, as individuals, or we ever had M. Abiola, who had a football team. In Wanyanwu, they all had football teams. If you bring that model to the situation now in Nigeria, it will not work. Because the one thing that we are certain about this life is that there's always going to be change. And change has been happening, but we have to change with it. The situation we find ourselves in now in Nigeria makes us, we now have to adapt to it for it to work. And to entice people into the business, it has to be lucrative for them. A man will not just come and start to sponsor a football club if he's going to be losing money. No. He must, if he's going to spend his money, he must have something coming back. And those were part of the things that I tried to, when I made the proposals to Nigeria, it took me 3 months to do it. It was a way to bring a multiplier effect into football. I'm not saying that I know it all, but it's a starting point. And I think that if you get a chance to look at it, you will see that they are little things, but they multiply. It's not just the action itself, but it will entice other things and draw other things into it. Without money, football is not going to run. The Saudi Arabians did not beat Argentina just because of money. They beat Argentina also because tactically they were solid. They came with a good game plan. And today they are back home celebrating because they can say, we beat the world champions. We're the only teams to beat the world champions. Those are the kind of things that football gives you that sometimes you can't buy with money. And it's what us taking a lead from.
Okay, well, as we begin to round up, let me just ask this on the lighter side. I understand you have a Moroccan connection, but what I would like you to talk about is what is the significance of Morocco's performance for us in Africa? First African country to reach the semi-finals, although there are some people who are saying that Moroccans identify more with the Arab world than with us in Africa. But, well, many of us insist that, well, what they have done, by reaching the semi-finals must have some significance for us in Africa. That's first. And then this controversy about who is the greatest footballer of all times, between Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Who will be your choice between the two?
For the second answer question, you will be disappointed. But for the first one, let me go to the first one first. Let me go to the first one. The first one you were talking about, my connection with Morocco. Listen, my better half is from there. My kids If Nigeria is not performing, they ship to Morocco. If Nigeria Morocco is if Nigeria if Nigeria Morocco is not performing, then they look at Belgium small, but it's like that, and that's how it is in the house. But the thing there is, if you look at the Moroccans, about people saying the Arab people, they think they are Arabs. There is no continent in the world that is called the Arab continent. So they are Africans. So that's how it is. That is where I see the issue closing. But for us to take a leaf from them, they developed by improving gradually. It's been a 10-year project, and now they are ripping off. And I don't know if you're aware, but in 2 months, they have been given the right to host the next World Club Cup. So that means the whole best teams in the world, clubs in the world, are now going there to decide who's going to be the world champion in club level. That is also going to bring them tourism, it's going to bring them attention, it's going to bring them money, and it's going to bring them audacity. And they are going to also try to become host of a World Cup also. So everything is looking bright, and this success has done that. Now, if you're to end you're asking me about the best player in the world between Messi and Ronaldo. Personally, for me, the best player in the world ever, and it's the player that I feel that everybody is building on to improve whatever they're doing. That's what everybody is getting inspiration from, to play so good like they are doing now. His name is Edson Arantes do Nascimento. That is Pelé. For me, that is the player who is the greatest in the world. You cannot win 3 World Cups and have anybody come out and say, I'm going to rival with you. Especially winning the first one at the age of 17. And winning the last one when you're over 30. Come on. It's, I think it's seriously. I know people will not be happy, especially the young ones who don't know Pelé. But those of us who are gradually becoming puppies now, we can identify.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Sunday Oliseh, for joining us on the morning show today.